On the last day of Parliament, the Judicial Appointments Bill is being discussed in the Rajya Sabha, the government advocating the formation of the Judicial Appointments Commission.
Since yesterday, we've been debating the Constitution Amendment to deal with the procedure for appointment of judges to the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court and the High Courts. Intervening on behalf of the government, let me at the very outset clarify, neither the government and I am sure this House also, almost in one voice, does not see this as a turf battle. It's not an issue as to who really has the power to appoint judges. We are concerned with a mechanism under which there are adequate checks and balances, and therefore we are able to resultantly appoint the best possible talent which is available as judges. I may clarify that there is no effort either on behalf of this House or the government that we are going back to a system of executive primacy. We have seen the era of executive primacy in this matter, and therefore whether it was the supersession of judges in 1973, the transfer of judges during the emergency in 1975, the supersession again in 1977 in the matter of appointment of the Chief Justice. We've seen that system, and therefore there is no question of anybody supporting the idea of any form of executive primacy in the matter of appointments. It's normally being argued, and there is some substance in that argument, that in the interest of independence of judiciary, which is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution, there should be an element of primacy of the judicial institution. If it was only linked to primacy and an effective consultation with the executive, probably this amendment would not have been necessary. Is that the procedure of judicial appointments is not through a procedure of judicial primacy with effective consultation with the executive. It's virtually boiled down to a system of judicial exclusivity in the matter of appointments. The role of other institutions which the Constitution envisaged is almost negligible. Sir, let us just go back to Article 124, which deals with the appointment of judges to the Supreme Court, and Article 217, which deals with the appointment of judges of the High Court. Article 124(2), I may be pardoned for reading it, reads, every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed by the President by warrant. So emphasize the word appointed by the President, which means appointed by the government, under his hand and seal, after consultation with judges of the Supreme Court. So the President, that is the government, will consult the judges of the Supreme Court and of the High Court of the states, as the President may deem necessary for the purpose, and shall hold office until he attains the age of 65 years. Provided that in the case of appointment of a judge other than a Chief Justice, the Chief Justice shall always be consulted. Translated into simple English language, the provision was the President, that is the government, will appoint the judges. The government will consult such judges of the Supreme Court as also of the High Court, and after that consultation appoint the judges of the Supreme Court.